Hello, this is State Representative Dante Santoni alongside candidate Mark Rozzi. Thank you for joining us on our telephone town hall. I have endorsed Democrat Mark Rozzi for State Representative of the 126th Legislative District because I know he is the best candidate to succeed me, and I know he will stand up to the Harrisburg Republicans in defense of the people of our district. I know all of the candidates personally, and with no hesitation, I can tell you that Mark is the best man for the job. Mark is a small business owner who knows how to create jobs, and Mark will work hard to find the responsible solution to eliminate school property taxes. It is my honor to introduce to you the man that, with your support, will be your next state representative, Mark Rozzi.
Thank you, Dante, for those kind words, and thank you for showing confidence in me by endorsing me and my campaign to represent the great people of the 126th District in Harrisburg.
Rich, I think Mark and I understand that property tax reform is not easy. It's a difficult proposition, and tough calls have to be made. If it was easy, it probably would have been done a long time ago. But I think what differentiates Mark from the rest is he's got the courage to make those tough calls, to say, okay, we're going to get rid of the property taxes, and we might have to move the sales tax up or the income tax, or maybe do a combination. But the conversation has to start there. If we're going to get rid of property taxes, you're right, we have to replace it. It's a tax shift, and the sales, and from what I heard in my tenure, more people would rather pay a little bit extra in sales, maybe a little bit extra in income tax, than the property tax. If we can get it to zero, and that'll be a real tax, a burden away from our homeowners, especially our senior citizens. But Mark has the courage to make those tough calls, and that's why I'm supporting his candidacy.
When I run the final numbers, that if it has to go to 8%, that I'm willing to take it to 8% to make sure it's going to cover the public school expenses. One thing we don't want to do is pass this bill and then short our public education. So my plan is definitely we got to raise the sales tax a little bit, and we have to add a broader base to the items involved.
All right, we have a question from Vicky in Reading.
Hi, Mark. I was wondering how you feel about underfunded and unfunded state educational mandates.
Okay, there are definitely some funded mandates that definitely need to be removed from our schools, but there are also some unfunded mandates that are important to our school children. So to be honest with you, I have to take it one at a time and go over each and every one and see what is most important to our children. I don't want to remove anything that is going to hurt our children's education. So, yes, are there some unfunded mandates out there that, are not helping our children? Yes. But there are a lot of good ones out there that simply need to be in our schools.
I mean, that's exactly right, Vicki. One mandate that we have is that schools should have school nurses. Now, I don't think anybody wants to get rid of that mandate because that's so important. So I think what Mark has said is true. Every mandate that it's imposed, you need to take a serious look at it, and if it's not benefiting the taxpayer, then we can get rid of it. But we also have to understand the federal government imposes mandates on the state government too. So we're sort of at a loss there, and we can't really do a whole lot about it. So the mandates are an issue, and I'm sure Mark's going to consider each and every one of them. But some, like as I said, the school nurse issue is something that's really important. Again, it's an issue of finding the revenues, and Mark's willing to stand up and find some additional revenues to provide the funding, and I think we all understand that issue very clearly.
Especially when we're leaving things on the table, that the Republicans are just refusing the tax. There is money out there for education. We just got to, be a voice for our children and say, hey, we're going to stand up and stop what the Republicans are doing in Harrisburg, and I can promise you I'll be that voice. Go ahead, Juan.
What do you plan to create more jobs and more businesses?
Absolutely. I mean, as a small business owner, let's face it, it starts with the business owners being able to create jobs, but it's not only about creating jobs, it's about creating good paying jobs for the community. And one thing I can tell you is that I believe in everybody, and I will stand with every community out there and be a part of every community to make sure that we're moving in the right direction. So, I'm going to make sure that I'm very visible, but it also starts with transportation and infrastructure. We're not going to have businesses want to come in here if our roads are not being able to accept the amount of loads that they're carrying. I mean, let's look at the 222 Maiden Creek bottleneck. You know, I talked to so many small business owners in Muhlenberg and Reading that said if you know, that road was into a 2-lane highway, that they'd be able to expand their business further and create more jobs, which in turn creates more tax revenue. So we have to start at a point, but we have to invest in ourselves first. Dante, do you want to take that?
I mean, investing in our infrastructure is something that we can do right away, and we can create jobs right away. Transportation infrastructure, the building and maintenance of our roads. We're creating jobs immediately when we're building them and fixing them, of course, but we're also long-term creating more jobs as businesses have an important issue for businesses is having a good quality infrastructure in our community, and then businesses will come here and stay here and grow and prosper. So that's a job plan that Mark has signed on, and I know that that's going to be a big issue in the next few years, transportation infrastructure. Our roads and bridges are falling apart. And unfortunately, Governor Corbett has sort of punted on this one again. He set up a transportation commission that gave him some ideas on how to invest in our infrastructure, and he sort of turned his back on it. So I'm going to continue to fight, and I know Mark will when he becomes a member of the House.
All right, we have a question from Gus in Reading. Gus, are you there?
Yes, sir. Thank you both for calling me tonight and getting me involved in this discussion. I want to thank Representative Dante for all the good things he has done.
Thank you, Gus.
Accessibility to his office, his staff, and we hate to see him go, but at least we wish we could retain his staff. Now, my question is, what can we do to get parents more involved in their children's education, especially early childhood education from birth to the age of 5 years old? That's when the brain is really like a sponge. What can we do to get the parents more involved?
Gus, early childhood education is critical, and I hate to talk about the past, but Governor Rendell instituted a number of different programs to enhance our those kind of programs for early childhood. And studies have shown, this isn't new. Studies have shown that when kids get that quality education, preschool, full day kindergarten, early childhood education, that they better as they get not just through school, but even into high school and college. So, and again, we're not here to be partisan. We have to work together on this, and we hope that the governor will see the error of his ways and invest again in those programs. He's actually cut a lot of the funding for those early childhood education programs, and many people are on the short end of that stick. So again, we need to invest in that. How do we get parents involved? I mean, that's a very difficult question. Parents, it's sort of a different world than it was a generation ago. Parents are working, and it's difficult to get them as involved as they should be. But I think the education part, not just for the kids, but for the parents, is really, really important. And I know Mark's going to fight for that funding for those early childhood programs because, again, they benefit all of us in the long run.
Let's take this to Jody. Jody from Muhlenberg. Jody, are you there?
Hi, my question is, what are your plans to clean up Muhlenberg?
Well, number one, again, and we talked about this already a little bit, we have to get our businesses that want to open up shop here in Muhlenberg. The 222 Maiden Creek corridor is killing businesses in Muhlenberg Township. I have talked to so many business owners in Muhlenberg. Here's one, for example, Goodman Vending, right on Tuckerton Road. When I spoke to the owners personally, they told me, Mark, if 222 was more accessible, if they could, get through up there and not be stuck in that bottleneck, that they could expand their business about an hour further north, which, again, will create jobs, and again, will create new tax revenue. So, definitely, if we fix our roads, we're going to have businesses that want to come to our community and start up, and then we'll be able to, have more tax revenue to spend within the community. But one thing I want to make sure I tell everybody here tonight is we all have businesses in our community. And when you have to have something done, use your local businesses. Keep the money local. Every time we go out of town, that's money that's going somewhere else. So we need to be spending our own dollars that we're working hard on in our local community so everybody can benefit all together.
We have Patrick from Reading. Patrick, are you there?
My question was, what if we do go ahead and switch from property taxes as far as revenues going to schools and put it into sales tax and wages and clothing taxes and other taxes? Like, aren't we just exchanging taxes for taxes? We're really not coming out ahead on this?
Well, the thing is that we're going to make it fair to everybody. It's just not going to be the homeowners that are going to be carrying this burden. You know, it will be a tax that is across the board and fair to everybody. It's definitely not fair to seniors that have no children attending schools. So, yes, are we shifting the tax, but we're shifting it to a fairer audience here, where everybody's going to have to pay their fair share. Dante, anything?
Well, House Bill 1776, Patrick, is the bill that is just been introduced, quite honestly, and there's a lot of discussion as what should be taxed, the changes to what's taxed by Pennsylvania law, etc. And it's really a starting point. I mean, I think that the feel is that we need to get away from school property taxes, but we also understand that we have to fund our public schools. Everybody agrees to that. So we have to find the revenue. And really the only way to shift that is to go to sales and or income. And again, the discussion needs to center on that. And we need to listen to what the people are concerned about, and we need to address it. But from what I've heard in my 20 years in the legislature, is school property taxes are too high. Senior citizens are getting taxed out of their homes. In a lot of cases, their property tax is higher than what their mortgage is. And that's just unfair, as people are in their golden years and shouldn't worry about losing their homes. So it's an issue that's been a challenge. As I said earlier, there's no easy answer to this school property tax dilemma. But I think that Mark has the gumption. I think he has the guts. I think he has the desire to make a significant change and put up a tough vote to make school property taxes go away. I know all the candidates that are running in the Democratic primary, and I endorse Mark because I think he's the best man for the job. He's a small businessman, and he's going to fight for the same kind of issues that I think are important: transportation, infrastructure, jobs, property tax elimination, the issues that are really important to the people of the 126th Legislative District, and I wish him the best.
Thank you, Dante. I appreciate that. I will fight for the people of the 126 and fight for the right things. You know, it seems like a lot lately that the Republicans in Harrisburg are on a runaway, and I promise to be the voice of the people and fight for the middle class, fight for the seniors, fight for the elimination of property taxes. Also, I'm a big advocate for the protection of children. You know, I want to make sure that every child in our state is protected out there, and I'm willing to go the extra mile and be their voice to make sure that gets done. And for me, that gets tied in with education. When we claim that we're going to educate every child, in the same instance, we better protect every child. And I will make sure that gets done, because let's face it, our children are the future. So let's give them the tools they need now, and they're going to lead for future generations. And eventually, remember, I mean, I'm 40 right now. I'm going to be a senior one day, and I want to make sure that I leave not only the 126 and the state of Pennsylvania, but I want to leave the world a better place so our children can take over.
All right. Thanks, guys. We're wrapping things up.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you very much.